Dude, Where's My Car was released in 2000 and was directed by Leiner and stars Ashton Kutcher and Seann William Scott and follows the story of two stoners that wake up after a night of partying to find out that their car is missing and they need to go find it. And while on the way, they meet some very weird people, some strange things are going on, and the fate of the universe as we know it. Guys, you might be wondering why the hell am I talking about this 2000s comedy that nobody cares about, that was trashed when it was released. It's because I wanted to rewatch this. I watched this movie maybe 5 or 6 years ago, after a night of intoxication, and I really enjoyed it, and ever since then, I have wanted to revisit this movie to see if it's any good sober. And you know what? I kinda really enjoy this movie. Now, that's not to say I think it's a good movie. This is not a good movie. This is a really stupid, pretty bad movie, all things considered, when you look at the paper-thin story, as well as how just icky it is, especially with things that just would not fly today in 2021. But nonetheless, I found this film to be charming at the least because of its two leads and its ridiculous story. As I said before, this movie is paper thin when it comes to the story. I think Rotten Tomatoes even says this, and also admits that it feels like a sitcom, and in many ways it does. This does not feel like a feature-length movie when you are watching it. It feels so cheap, and just doesn't feel like it should be something that was on the big screen, but nonetheless, here we are. I think what makes this movie work is the fact that it isn't a very cohesive movie. There are many instances in this movie where I'm like, how is this leading to this, to this? It's so random and feels like a bunch of little mini episodes that are combined together because the story itself is so simple. This movie is basically the precursor to The Hangover, as they try to retrace their steps to try to figure out where their car is, and it gets them into a bunch of different situations, especially with a religious alien type cult. That is a lot of fun, and then also aliens in general, which is also a lot of fun. But I think the heart and the soul of this movie is actually Ashton Kutcher and Seann William Scott, who, as idiotic as these characters are, they are so dumb, but they're so likable, and it's because of the charisma and chemistry between these two leads that makes them really entertaining to watch. They're always enjoyable, and I never hated these guys. These guys are really not that unlikable, and the film itself really isn't that unlikable. I genuinely had fun watching this movie, even through a lot of its rough parts, a lot of the stuff where it's like, this does not work, and a lot of the comedy does not land. For the most part throughout the film, I was kind of chuckling, but it was always under my breath. There were other instances where there would be a legitimately funny thing happen, and I did laugh out loud. This happened quite a few times, because I think that this movie has some genuinely good jokes throughout the entire film. However, it's just masked by all these other jokes that just do not land at all, are pretty terrible, and just don't work overall. But I could see these jokes in a better movie. I could see this movie working with a better script. But I think what makes it so infectious to me is obviously the charisma of the actors, and also the balls out weird storyline that literally makes no sense. And then there's things that happen earlier in the film that are called back to, and they end up in the climax of the film. And it's so weird how this movie is structured, and how it also fits within, that tight, neat structure that I like to see in movies. I like when things are set up and paid off, and they actually are in this film, of all things. It's really bizarre. But my favorite moment out of the entire batch, well, besides maybe the scene where Ashton Kutcher basically signed on to the movie because he laughed so hard, which was the scene where they look at each other and see that they both have tattoos on their back, and they're trying to explain to each other what it says on their back, and they're not getting the message across to each other because they're idiots. That's fun. Not a really funny scene, but I like the actors in it. But my favorite scene has to be the scene with Fabio having a cameo, where the two are driving a car and they are right beside Fabio, and Fabio is trying to mess with them, talking about his car, revving it up, kissing his girlfriend, and then Ashton Kutcher and Seann William Scott, they decide to kiss each other as well to kind of compete with him, and they win in the very end. And honestly, it's really funny while also being really stupid. I could talk to death about how bad this movie is, how it doesn't work from a screenwriting standpoint, from a story standpoint, from a character standpoint, how the movie doesn't make much sense at all, but also, I just find it so endearing. This movie was so watchable. While I was watching the movie, I was never angry at it. I was just watching it and enjoying the ride. Whereas there's some movies that are really bad that you can't enjoy them because all you see are the bad things. Whereas here, I can see a lot of the good things in it, and there are some good things about it, but really what brings it through to me is the charisma of the actors portraying the characters, and I think that's what brings me through this very weird and bizarre story that feels like the poor man's version of Bill and Ted. So yeah, I'm gonna say that this movie is not a good movie. By far, it's not. I'm not gonna pretend that it is anything more than it is. It is a very stupid movie, but it is also a movie that I genuinely can't get enough of. After I watched it, I wanted to watch it again. In fact, I want to buy the movie now because I enjoyed it that much. It's just something that I could put on at any time, sit down, laugh at, enjoy, even through its many, many stupid parts. So anyway, guys, with all that said, I'm going to give Dude, Where's My Car a 4 out of 10. But it's a 9 out of 10 in my heart. But again, as I said, I can't really rate it any higher because it's exactly what it is, and I shouldn't rate it any higher than that. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and stay positive.